Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Got a hopefully quick video for you today. It's a response video to something I heard from Neeves Knives. Now before I get into that, I want to say I love Neeves Knives. He has a fantastic channel. I watch every video he puts out. Got a lot of respect for him. So this is in no way a dig at him. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. Like, I know a lot of you understand that, and if he were to watch this video, he would completely understand that too. But it's 2023, and I'm uploading an opinion on the internet, so, you know, there might be someone out there who takes this as an act of violence. But the clip I'm responding to comes from one of his videos, the best knives under $100, or was it under $50? Under $100. I'll play the clip here.
I would love to put the Kershaw Leak, the Kershaw Dividend, and knives like that on this list. The reason why I don't, even though I love them so much and they're USA made and I really, really want to, the reason why I don't is because they're assisted. In 2023, I don't think we need, I mean, look at the action we get from some of the knives we have. The action that we expect from the companies nowadays. An assisted action is a slap in the face. It's almost a disgrace. And I don't mean that, you know, in the worst kind of way. I just mean that it's so easy for companies to perfect a detent today in 2023. Why do they need an assist? Like, the action from the detents I have are faster than assisted knives, you know, or at least right there with it. So what's the point, unless if you're trying to cut corners, which an assist absolutely does. Let's be clear. An assist spring makes it to where they don't have to tune the detent really strong. They don't have to have super smooth pivot, you know. There's just so many things that they get to cut corners on. They don't have to tune a detent. So to me, I'd rather just, you know, recommend non-assisted knives, but I do love those knives, so I figured I'd say it.
So yeah, assisted knives. I've talked about assisted knives on the channel before. A lot of you probably remember my IEDC'd assisted knives for 2 weeks video. If you have not seen that, check it out. It's a very, very good video in my opinion. And in that video, I carried an assisted knife for 2 weeks and, you know, it's kind of tested the pros and cons. And at the end of the video, I came to a couple conclusions. Now, I am not the biggest fan of assisted knives myself. I feel like a lot of enthusiasts aren't, right? We've kind of evolved and moved past that in our collecting career. But I think that assisted knives do still have a place and justify their existence. And I'll get into that a little bit here. There's 3 main reasons I think that. The first reason is that assisted knives are great for people that have dexterity issues. This could be arthritis, this could be missing fingers, this could be anything that makes manipulating tools a little bit difficult for someone. It could be something that's just old age, you know. It could be injuries, like I said. Anything that makes the manipulation of a knife awkward or even dangerous to the user. And, for example, my grandpa, he has got to the point where growing up, slip joints was what he carried, right? He always carried slip joints. And now he likes to carry a more modern folding knife. It's not an assisted knife, but it has thumb studs, and he likes to be able to deliberately roll that out. It's easier for him, so, you know, he's not pinching on things. And I've also noticed from other people I've met in my life that an assisted knife really, really takes away a lot of the trouble of manipulating a tool. Now, yes, a well-tuned detent is an amazing thing, and I'm sure makes a knife a lot easier for someone to open than a slip joint. But at the same time, if you can't get enough power, or you can't get your finger in the right position, and you can just barely hit that flipper tab, if you have an assisted knife, that helps, right? Why would you not just use an auto? Well, I would say maybe that is an option, but autos have a lot more conflict with the law, shall we say. So it might be better in the long run for someone to have an assisted knife or an auto in that case. The second thing I'm going to talk about kind of is dexterity as well, but this is ease of use with gloves. So I've got a pair of gloves here, and I've got a knife just to demonstrate this. This is my CGRB Scoria. Fantastic flipping action. I would never, ever miss a flip on this knife barehanded. However, once I put gloves on, it becomes a little more difficult to operate it correctly. Now, there's other things that are nice with gloves, like the Spidey hole is fantastic, but as a lot of you know, I grew up on a cattle ranch, and for me, one of the most frustrating things was in the winter when we're feeding the cows. It's snowy, it's cold. Not only are my fingers cold, but I've got gloves on, right? So that's decreasing my dexterity quite a bit, and it was sometimes hard for me to manipulate pocket knives. Now again, Spidey hole is nice for that, but an assist is also really, really nice, where even if I just barely hit the flipper tab, instead of it doing that, it'll come out all the way, you know? And again, I'm feeding cows. This hand is busy doing stuff, you know? I need to get my knife out. I need to cut these hay strings. The cows are all pressing up against me. I'm not thinking about my knife. You know, if I'm really careful and deliberate, I can deploy this knife with my gloves on. But it's so much easier to pull it out of my pocket. You know, that was a thumb stud right there, and get it going, right? If an assist helps with that, I think that's definitely a reason to have an assisted opening knife. The third big reason I think assisted knives still have a place is dirty environments, right? So I've got my Kaiser Towser K here. This knife has probably a perfect detent. Very, very snappy detent. I'm sure this knife is even easy for me to deploy with gloves without thinking too hard. I say as I miss it twice. Yeah, it's fairly easy. However, this knife on bearings is a hazard to getting clogged up. Again, I talked about working with hay. I have had hay get in the bearings of so many knives and make them so that they won't open. And I think I told this story in the review of that knife. There was one time, no, it was when I made a video on are bearings suitable for hard use knives, where I had hay caught in my bearings, is my Sinca episode, and that prevented the knife from closing all the way, and I didn't know it. Put it in my pocket, ended up cutting myself really, really badly. When you have a knife on washers that's assisted, because typically assisted knives are on washers, right? Not all the time, but typically. You don't have to worry about your bearings getting clogged up. The washers will prevent gumming up. The washers will be a little more stable side to side, and your knife will still function 100% correctly, right? If you pull that flipper tab, the blade's going to come out because it has that spring behind it, right? I've only had a few failures with deployment on spring-assisted knives. I've had multiple failures of deployment in dirty situations with manual knives. Of course, there are manual knives that have washers, and those, again, those are resistant to dirt and wear, but it goes back to the dexterity issue. It might not be as helpful for that. There's a few other things I can think of right now that make assisted knives still viable options, but they're not in the top three. One of the ones I can think of right now is I think assisted knives are actually great for kids. This, again, kind of goes back to the dexterity or hand strength issue. When you give a kid their first knife, you want it to function right, and you want it to be as safe as possible. This is why I don't think you should give kids slip joints as their first knife. When I was a kid, I cut myself with so many slip joints, right? So many slip joints, because kids are stupid, and they lack the motor skills to kind of operate a knife like that. The second thing, though, is, you know, if you give a kid a manual knife and they just don't have the hand strength to deploy it all the way, let's say they flip it and it opens up that much. I mean, this seems like it's all the way open, right? But if it's open that much, you know, they could hurt themselves very, very seriously. So with an assisted knife, when they pull that flipper tab, when they hit that thumb stud, the blade will come all the way open and it will lock out securely. And having that assist, having that resistance to closure, teaches kids to be very, very safe with their pocket knives. You know, it encourages a two-hand closing. And so I honestly, if someone asks me, you know, what's a great first knife for a kid, you know, I say Kershaw is fantastic, and get an assisted model, because I think it's safe for children, and I think it teaches them knife handling skills that they will need as they get older. But yeah, so those are my 3 big things why spring assisted knives have not seen the end of their days, right? They're great for people that have dexterity issues, injuries, just hand problems in general. 3, they're fantastic for situations where you're wearing gloves. I guess I could also throw into that wearing gloves, or, you know, your hands are cold, things like that. And 3, they give you a knife that has a reliable, repeatable action, even in a dirty environment. So those are my thoughts there. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Again, check out my video I did on EDCing assisted knives for 2 weeks. I go into that a lot more in depth, but these are the thoughts I have. Again, I don't even have any assisted knives right now, but I do think that there's a place for them, and I do think that there is a big difference between a good assist and a bad assist, right? I've held several MTECs that are spring assisted, but they do not open all the way, right? Spring assisted, but the spring will wear out and snap. Obviously that's not good, but you get things like Speed Safe. It's very, very fun. I recently reviewed the CRKT Facet that has their assist with bearings. That is a weird assist to me, because on the one hand, it gives you a very unique feeling. You know, the knife flies open like an auto, but then it'll drop to a certain point, and then you can close it. It's almost like a half stop on a frame lock. Very, very interesting. But putting the bearings in there kind of sort of reduces the reliability that you would get from washers. So I've got mixed feelings about that. Still, there are different types of assists. I do think that assists are something that we need. I even though I love a well-tuned detent, I do believe that most companies can accomplish a well-tuned detent these days. I don't think that assisted knives are going anywhere, right? And I don't think they should. I think they're very, very useful. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, share this video. I always forget to tell you guys to share. I don't know, it's not something I really think about, but it does help the channel. And I will probably be posting this like the day I record it. I don't think I'm going to schedule this out, because at this point you won't be seeing this video for like 2 months. So I'll probably just post this like today's Wednesday morning, on August 30th. Maybe I'll post this Sunday or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.